Hello, everybody. Louise Edington, the Cosmic Owl of Cosmic Owl Astrology, and I'm wearing sparkles and orange, and I've got psychedelic background because I'm weirdly excited about Uranus going into Gemini. And I know there's a lot of fear about it, especially in the USA because of some of the history. So I'm going to do quite a deep dive into the USA's chart with Uranus because USA has Uranus in Gemini. So I actually have some slides for you that you can take screenshots of if you like, just to give you some dates, some history, but then I'm going to give you some absolute thoughts about it. And Uranus is breakthroughs and breakdowns sometimes, but usually kind of rapid change. I see Uranus as quite a benevolent, kind of rebellious energy, and I think this shift is really going to be good for us in general. So I thought I'd wear sparkles for you to amuse you, some stars. My sister-in-law actually gave me these when I was in the UK. She gave me a pack of them, so you might see more of that because Uranus is going into Gemini, and Gemini is the sign of youthfulness, it's the sign of alliances, it's the sign of fun. Now, we've never been here before in our lifetimes, most of us. I have a couple of members who were born with Uranus in Gemini, and actually they are really fun. But, most of us have not been alive for Uranus moving into Gemini. The kind of closest to it was when Uranus went into the opposite sign, Sagittarius, in 1981. That would have opposed Gemini. And I looked back at that because I have a Sagittarius stellium, and that meant that Uranus would have been conjunct first my Juno, then my Mercury, then my Mars, then my Pallas Athena, then and Jupiter, then my Sun, and then my ascendant that whole time. The 7 years about from 81 to 88. And I can tell you, they were really fun years. And if you've been following me and you know me, and I talk a lot about my life in general, I will say that I've been feeling this kind of coming. I also have a Gemini moon, by the way. And I've shed a ton of excess weight. I'm wearing more useful clothes. I've rediscovered my love of music and going to live concerts and so on and so forth and so on. Anyway, I'm having a lot of fun, and I really invite you to focus on that fun side of Gemini with this. But we're going to look at the USA, and I am going to share my slides first, and then I'm just going to kind of stop sharing and just give you some final thoughts. So I've called this America's Uranus return, and I'm going to go into present so you will not see my chart. Oh, you will. It's in the corner. There we go. Anyway, so this is America's Uranus return, the reckoning, the rewrite, and the revolution of consciousness. And I will tell you that I think this Uranus return is very different to others, but we're going to look at the history as well. All right, so the USA. In recent years, the USA has experienced the Neptune opposition, and these dates, I'm not going to go through all the dates, but you can see them. So Neptune was opposing the natal Neptune of the USA in the Sibley chart. I use the Sibley chart, by the way, because I think it works. And that was the 9th. The USA has 22 Virgo Neptune in the 12th house of expansion and truth, and Neptune was opposing it. And that's a big cycle in itself because Neptune has a 165-year orbit. So every 82.5 years, Neptune will oppose that Neptune. We've also had the Pluto return. Here are the dates again of the exact time. And the USA, using Porphyry, I use Porphyry house system. I think it works. Again, I'm not attached. You can translate it to your own house system if you like. But we had a Pluto return 3 times in the second house of values and worth. You'll hear most people talking about USA's having a Pluto return. It's having many other things, but Pluto return is huge. It happens every 249 years. Okay. And USA has also been going through a Chiron return. Now, the USA has a 20-degree Aries, 4th house Chiron, both the wound and the key to healing. And these were the dates for the Chiron return. In the 4th house, which is the basis of security, the home, the literal home, the root of the chart. And not only, though, has it been having a Chiron return, the April the 8th, last year, 2024 total eclipse, which went right through Texas up through Maine, was at 19 Aries, exactly conjunct Chiron. So the Chiron return included a total solar eclipse, a new beginning. And just yesterday, as I record this on July the 6th, USA has had another Jupiter return. Now, Jupiter returns every 12 years, but all of these things are happening together. This is huge. In the space, you can see of just over 4 years, the USA has experienced all of these things. This is massive, okay? Now then, most of you also know that I work with the Venus star point, and I'm most interested in kind of the collective star point. On March the 22nd, 2025, we had a retrograde star point. That's conjunct the IC, the very bottom, the basis of the USA chart. And this is also where Saturn and Neptune will meet early next year. June the 4th, 2024, we had a direct or superior Venus star point at 14 Gemini, which was conjunct the north nodes of Uranus and Venus and close to the USA's descendant, which is at 12 degrees Gemini. Then on August the 13th, 2023, we had a retrograde Leo star point, which was exactly trying that Chiron of the USA from the 8th house of the USA. There's more. October the 22nd, 2022, we had another direct star point at 29 Libra, which was the first Libra star point as they slowly move backwards through. Don't get too tied up in the exact details. I can't teach you all of the Venus star point in this, but trust me, it was the first Venus star point in well over 100 years, and that was by 2 degrees trying the 27-degree Aquarius moon of the USA and square the USA's Pluto in the 2nd house. Now, these star points move slowly backwards, so that means this star point, when we go back to another Libra star point, will exactly aspect those things. I'll look more at that in a minute. There's more. On January the 8th, 2022, we had a retrograde star point at 18 degrees Capricorn, right on the cusp of the USA's 2nd house, using Porphyry, where this week's full moon is. And the cusp of the house can be really important for activations. And this is the house of self-esteem, self-worth, and values. Okay. So, another thing that's been testing. All these things have been bringing this massive change and reckoning. This is an awful lot of direct hits and cycles, okay? And then on October the 25th, 2024, the USA actually had its own Venus star point return. So the prenatal Venus star point for the USA is at 1 degree, 1 minute Scorpio in the 11th house. And so on October the 25th, 2024, we had a 1 degree Scorpio star point again. So yet another return. They happen every 250 years. And then on October the 23rd, 2026, we will actually have a last Scorpio Venus star point, because after that, the star point will move back into Libra permanently for another 100 years. And so that's very close to the prenatal Venus star point of the USA too. So this is wild. This is the past. These are things apart from that last star point in 2026. These have all happened. But these are major kind of churning transformations, breakthroughs, wounds opening up, all of those kind of things, all the chaos that we see happening in the United States, the discovering that the Constitution was consciously written for white men, that the originalists are, want to go back to that, the rising authoritarianism, all this kind of stuff is all showing up in there. But I've long said that this is the old ways clinging on by their fingernails, because this is such a massive reckoning. Then we have upcoming Venus star points. On June the 1st, 2028, we have an 11 Gemini retrograde star point conjunct Mercury at 12 degrees and Uranus at 10 degrees, with the north node of Venus at 12 and north node of Uranus at 14 degrees. That's sitting right on the descendant of the USA and opposing the ascendant. And with Mercury and Venus, the north node of Venus at 12 degrees, kind of right on it, I've long said the Constitution would get rewritten at least, or we'd, reorganize the United States. But, these things take a while to write. If you think about the history of the United States, from the Declaration of Independence to the ratification of the Constitution, took a while, right? But anyway, good things are coming. October the 20th, 2030, by then, everything will be done and dusted. 27 degrees Libra, balance, harmony, justice in the 11th house, star point, will exactly square the USA, Pluto, and trine the USA's moon from the 1776 chart. So again, don't get too tied up in these degrees and dates unless you really want to. If you're into the astrology, again, you can go back, take screenshots. But these are big changes. Lastly, upcoming transits. In October of 2027, the USA will have a reverse nodal return. Then the USA's Uranus return, which is really what activated this, is at 8 Gemini on July the 26th, 2027, November the 5th, 2027, and May the 11th, 2028. And then we are going to have the Pluto conjunct the USA's South Node at 6 Aquarius, March the 8th. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 exact times through 27 and 28. And it's, well, I'll talk more in a minute. Saturn, and we're going to have a Saturn opposition as well, which happens every 29 years, in the 10th, opposing the Saturn in the 10th house of the USA chart, saying it's time to kind of let time bring the change, okay, and have a new start. That's on March the 15th, 2027. So I'm predicting by 2028, by the next elections and 2030, the USA is going to look completely different. I don't think the people are going to take it lying down. Now, there's other things I could talk about. I came across a really interesting video by what's her name? Sociastrology. That's it. Sociastrology. Shannon, her name is. She talked about the solar return of the United States, which means when the exact moment that the sun was at the point of the 1776 chart, just on July the 4th, just gone last Friday. She does a really good deep dive. But the most interesting thing to me as well was the ascendant in that chart is at 7 Aquarius, which is conjunct the south node of the USA. So, it's undoubted that the USA has been going through a major reckoning. But if you look at these dates, I'm going to suggest that we are through the biggest challenging returns and things, and what we have to come are the things that are going to bring the change, where we can choose where we are going. And it's going to culminate in this, mostly in this Uranus return in 2027 and early 2028, just in time for the next elections. And I do think there will be elections, even if the USA looks very different. So I wanted to look back, because when we look at, when we hear a lot of astrology videos talking about Uranus ingress into Gemini, everybody goes, there was war every time. Well, there was. But again, hold this space. I have some thoughts on what this one might bring when I just stop the share and just talk. So here's the dates. Uranus ingressed first 1941, went back out of Gemini in October 41 and moved in fully May the 15th, 1942. That was in the middle of World War II. And obviously, I was steeped in that history growing up in Europe, but the war was already ongoing. It began in 1939 with Germany's invasion of Poland and concluded in 1945 with Japan's formal surrender. But what Uranus entry into Gemini, where the US has Uranus, the entry into the war was instigated by Pearl Harbor, which happened right in the middle of this ingress. Okay, it actually happened when Uranus had moved back into Taurus. And Uranus in Taurus is really challenging. This last 7 years of Uranus in Taurus has been very challenging. Uranus doesn't like Taurus really very much. Uranus is rapid change. It's like breakthroughs. It's like waking up. And in Taurus, Taurus likes to stay solid and rooted, and it's about the land and our values. Anyway, so you can see that this is these 3 dates here when the US actually entered the war, which it was reluctant to do, was when Uranus had moved back into Taurus. And then we had a Uranus return on May the 30th, 1944, just one exact. And that was D-Day, which close to. On D-Day was June the 6th. And that was said to begin the end of the war, which ended in 45, right? So, I think there is going to be chaos, of course. I think we're already in it. Speaking of Uranus in Taurus, we're fighting about whose values and whose ideas and things like that. It's relatively a short, sharp shift. Okay. Before that, the Civil War. Yes, this is when Uranus ingressed into Gemini. It first went in June the 1st, 1858, then retrograded back out January 1st, 1859, and moved fully in March 13th, 1859. Now, this time, the USA actually had its Uranus return from June the 16th, 1860 to April the 1st, 1861. You can see it there. And that the US Civil War began in 1861 as we were having our Uranus return. And that's about alliances. Which side do we take? Whose side are we on? So yes, again, it's a battle of ideas and whose laws and whose rules. Okay. Again, I really don't think these kind of wars are going to happen again. Okay. And then the time before, of course, Uranus was in Gemini on July the 4th, 1776, but Uranus went retrograde and we visited that spot December the 1st, 1776 and April 23rd, 77, as the USA was claiming its independence. Enough about that, what it meant, but these are just the facts, the dates. Okay. And you can see some dates for the war. The actual kind of April 23rd, 1777 was very close to the pivotal Battle of Saratoga, as it says. And so, there was turning points like D-Day, all right? And they're coming really fast, okay, as we go into this Uranus return that's coming up. Again, oh no, I'm not going to take you back. We can look at that. So this is, July the 18th, 2026. This is actually kind of before the Uranus return, but I wanted to show you this chart. André Barbeau was a renowned French astrologer. He predicted the pandemic. He was a very good mundane astrologer. He was what I would strive to be if I had started when I was younger. He tracked kind of patterns and cycles and things. He had this cyclical index he used. Amazing mundane astrologer. And mundane astrology is about the astrology of world events. And he predicted, he passed before the pandemic, even though he had predicted it. He said 2026 is going to be a significant year with a splendid relaunch of civilization. He highlighted a unique planetary configuration in July of 2026 involving a basket of outer planets, including Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus, forming a grand trine. A mini grand trine actually with Jupiter in Leo. Okay, I'll point at those things in a minute. This configuration, along with the Saturn-Neptune conjunction that will be at 0 Aries early next year, was seen as a harbinger of positive change. Barbeau also noted the potential for the Jupiter-Pluto opposition, which he believed could mark a turning point in collective unity and humanitarian ideals. Now, I chose this moment, July 18th, because this is the exact trine aspect between Uranus and Pluto. And they are in what's called an opening trine. But if you can see, Pluto here is at 4 degrees Aquarius, almost on the south node of the USA. So we'll be feeling that by then. Here's Neptune at 4 degrees Aries, still sitting pretty close to the base of that chart. And here's Uranus at 4 degrees Gemini, coming up to that Uranus return. We'll be feeling it by then. And then here's Jupiter. Jupiter is coming up to exactly oppose Pluto. I didn't look at exactly how many times they're going to oppose each other, but this is the first Jupiter-Pluto opposition since Pluto has moved into Aquarius, Uranus has moved into Gemini, Neptune has moved into Aries, and this is the basket he was talking about. I'm going to add Haumea, however. I love my extras, some of them. Haumea, which is of the nature of Pluto without the tower moment, the collapse part, is also coming up to 2 degrees of, 4 degrees of Scorpio. I could have switched the dates around, but basically Haumea is square to this opposition or coming up. I've mentioned many times that Pluto and Haumea have 13 exact squares and they finish in 2028. So this is very much a part of all this. And so just if I haven't got a line drawer, but if I could just test, they're all speaking to each other, right? To Jupiter. So, and Haumea is in a quincunx aspect to Uranus adjustment. It's also in a quincunx aspect to Neptune, which makes it the focal point of a finger of fate or God, a yod. And then it's also square to Pluto. And this is in the 11th house of the USA Sibley chart, and it's almost exactly conjunct that Venus star point that the USA is the USA's prenatal star point. Rebirth. The USA is being reborn. Birth is messy. It's going to take a while, but this adds to my thought that we are kind of past the worst, even though it doesn't feel like it. And, you know, it's going to shake out a little bit as Uranus moves into Gemini, of course, and people have got to start rising up, but I think they will. There's lots more I could talk about, of course, but, you know, all these things. Anyway, oh, and Juno's conjunct here as well. Juno is kind of sacred contracts with each other. I could have like moved it to when Jupiter was exactly opposing Pluto and looked in deep, greater depth of that. I just kind of picked this period because it's huge. And after that, I think after that next summer, I think it's kind of all on the up. So as Uranus re-enters Gemini's split-tongued gates, may we remember revolution is not destruction, it is revelation. It is the divine code erupting in the matrix of the mind, demanding new language, new laws, new ways to be. We are not just watching history repeat, we are being asked to write the new myth. Now go write it. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the Spiral Weave for deeper dives into the mystery. And another reminder to like, thumbs ups, they really count, and subscribe. And now I'm going to stop the share and just talk a little bit, some thoughts. Okay. Oof, because, you know, I felt really inspired to do this video by listening to Dabney Lawless Astrology. She interviewed Sociastrology, and that led me to looking at her video about the solar return for the USA. But, you know, most astrologers agree that the astrology looks promising. Okay, so don't get too tied up in this history. So I've written some things. This is a reckoning. The USA has had those Pluto returns, the Chiron return, the Neptune opposition, all the other returns I looked at, and it's still got a few more things to come, but it's had the big heavy hitters. So this is not just cyclical. This is a spiral. What was seeded in 1774 was ruptured in 1861 and convulsed again in 1941 is now returning for transmutation, not repetition. This Uranus return isn't just one more plot twist. It's a rewrite, a revolution of revolution itself. So this is why I called it, what did I call it? Let me go to my notes again. The Reckoning, the Rewrite, and the Revolution of Consciousness. So, but don't forget as well, though, as well as giving me the thumbs up about my series book and my free daily posts on Substack. So those are both seeding a new era. But we're diving deep into this Uranus return to Gemini. It's rewritten America's story every single time with war, revolution, and liberation, but this time it's different. This script is quantum and the choice is ours. So we could say Uranus in Gemini, the trickster writes in binary. Every Uranus in Gemini transit in US history has cracked the shell of identity and forced the collective mind to split, scatter, and reassemble. This is the realm of logic, language, communication, alliances, and duality. It's Mercury's playground, but with Uranus, it's a lightning strike to the nervous system of the nation. So in 1774 to 1781, we had the rebel spark. 1858 to 1865, the fracture of the Union. 1941 to 1949, the war raged across borders and bandwidths to 45. That was the transit's length. And now we have this new one till 2033. Not just war, a war of narratives, a battle for truth and for reality itself. So this time the battlefield isn't just soil, it's soul. So then I said the return of the trickster, the mirror, and the mind. The USA's natal Uranus in Gemini in the sixth house, in many interpretations, governs labor, systems, and the everyday machinery of life. The Uranus return says break it to remake it, but not in the old Uranian fashion. This isn't just rebellion, it's recoding, because this is paired with Pluto in Aquarius and Neptune in Aries and Haumea, I'm going to say, in Scorpio. But Pluto, Uranus, and Neptune form this mini grand trine, and then Neptune and Uranus form this yod to Haumea. And this peaks in 2026. And this is a consciousness supernova. So the mind, Gemini, the visionary, Aquarius, the fire of divine will in Aries, form a circuit of electric reckoning and add in Haumea in the fertile and potent deep waters of Scorpio, of deep inner empowerment. And what do we have? So I've long said the Constitution may be rewritten. This feels inevitable in some way. I don't know what that's going to look like. Pluto on the South Node in Aquarius in 2027 to 2028 is the karmic ghost of collective idealism and technological hubris coming home to roost. That's the shadow of democracy and the systems built for some but not for all. We may not lose the Republic, but we will lose the illusion of what it was. A new America may rise, not from nostalgia, but from necessity. We're not going back, people. There's no going back. So, regarding the topic of war, every previous Uranus in Gemini transit brought tangible war, but this time, I really do think it's an information war, an ideological war, and yet maybe not a war at all. Maybe it's a metamorphic rupture with every outer planet shifting signs in this next year, not just this decade. Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, Saturn, and then even Jupiter going into that Leo by next year. We are witnessing the collapse of empire narratives. This isn't 1941 with bombs, it's 2025 with pots and books banned and battles fought in algorithms and collective memory. The revolution isn't coming, it's already encoded in the cloud. The Chiron return, the Neptune opposition, the Pluto return, and now the Uranus return are not random. They are initiatory gates. Chiron is the wound at the root, Pluto dug it up, Neptune eroded the lies, and Uranus, they bring the electrical current that forces the choice. The choice isn't red versus blue, it's truth versus illusion, co-creation versus collapse. In summary, the USA has reached the end of an era, cosmically, karmically, and structurally. Uranus in Gemini historically marks war and liberation, but in 2025 to 2033, that liberation may come through disinformation, divided realities, and the rewriting of American identity. The Pluto South Node conjunction, again 27 to 28, is the ghost of the past whispering, will you build something better? And the mini grand trine of 2020, well, it's been active for a while, but peaks in 2026, activates a divine override, an opportunity to anchor higher consciousness into our systems. The Republic may remain in name, but its soul contract is being renegotiated. This reckoning isn't the end, it's the upgrade, if we choose it. So I close again with the words that were on my penultimate slide. As Uranus re-enters Gemini's split-tongued gates, may we remember, revolution is not destruction, it's revelation. It's the divine code erupting into the matrix of the mind, demanding new language, new laws, new ways to be. We are not just watching history repeat. We are being asked to write the new myth. Now, go write your part in it. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the Spiral Weave. Don't forget to check out my book and all of these things. And most of all, embrace it with excitement. I woke up this morning going, I smell like teen spirit. I always had Nirvana in my head. That's so Uranus in Gemini, smells like teen spirit, because Uranus is youth. And so it's like we're in the youth of something that could become something really magical. So enjoy it. Wear sparkles on your face, wear orange, wear flowers in your hair, whatever. Love you. Bye.